Alright, what's up? So I recorded some audio from my original game, but it was really low, so I just wanted to run through it real quick. So here's the deck. Madoc, Milva, Saskia. Play Saskia round 1. Simless is going to pull your Bountiful Harvest. In a pinch, you can also pull out Dimeridian Bombs or Making Bombs, but we're going to almost always want that Bountiful Harvest. Hopefully not on the Saber-Toothed Tigers, the one thing that we want to avoid, or if for some reason you have a brick in hand. But this is pretty control heavy. We've got Yeet Wave and Muzzle. I personally like Muzzle because it's a control that can actually put something on your side, and Heat Wave can just answer anything. And we have enough damage here that we can likely either Guerrilla Tactic something down into Muzzle range, or play something, get it down into Muzzle range, and take Muzzle on it next turn. Madoc is why we're playing so many bombs. We've got like 6 bombs here. We've got Milva, pairs really great with Guerrilla Tactics. It's really going to give you a lot of control options. Royal Decree for some consistency. You can pull your Saskia if you need a round 1, or pull one of the cards you need in round 2 or 3, depending on what happens. Saber-Toothed Tiger is excellent, super uninteractive. You want to play them at the very beginning of the round so that the opponent, if they only play one card, then that's going to go ahead and get hit. Serpent Trap is great, and again, uninteractive, and it's a nice tech card. You see that I get a lot of value out of it in the game that I recorded. Gourd, we're playing a decent amount of specials here, so he's usually gets pretty good value, and he's a good point slam at the end. Powerful Harvest for Simless, and now you've got your bombs. Moondust is pretty much my favorite bomb because you can purify. So if somebody does put a defender, you don't want to use your Guerrilla Tactics, because that's the thing, is you usually, like, versus defender, you can just use Guerrilla Tactics and push the defender to the other side. But there's going to be sometimes you don't want to do that because that's going to call Milva out. And so if Milva's not set up, you don't want to brick Milva. This allows you to take care of that pesky defender without having to worry about that, and of course pulling out Madoc. Moondust is really great value here, because if you think about that, that's a 4 damage Peller that also brings Madoc out for 1 additional provision, and it's damage. And damage is always preferable to just having 4 on your unit generally. I shouldn't say always, but generally. Of course, you've got your movement package, your sentries, you got your witchers, you got your matrons over here. I like to include 1 dwarven mercenary. You could run a pyro if you wanted. I prefer the mercenary because when it comes out at 7, and the pyros can sometimes answer something really randomly, and that's really cool. But other times they can play for pretty low value. Like if they hit a 1 or a 2, then you actually lose value by clicking their order. And then you have your standard bombs. A couple Dimeridian bombs, these are really good. Just 4 damage. Red Haze is a really nice one. And because we have Milva, a couple making up bombs here is also pretty nice. Because then we bring out both Madoc and Milva. So I'm going to go into the match again. The audio kind of got messed up, so I just record over it. But yeah, so I'm going against Symbiosis. I got some bricks in my hands. I got my Dwarven Mercenary and my Bountiful Harvest. I tried to mulligan away a Bountiful Harvest, but I decide, hey, I got another one. Simless is not in my hand, and I can pull out the Dwarven Mercenary with my Saskia this round. So I decide to take the Bountiful Harvest in hand, and you can just mulligan that away in a different hand. Opponent, this is a very standard new Symbiosis deck. Frexinate, Opener. I'm going to have to answer, but right now I can look at establishing Saskia. Right now I'm looking at do I need to use one of my bombs or something like that early? It's just always a thought process, but you generally don't want to do that. The earlier you get Saskia out, the sooner you get that timer going. So we're going to want to get as much value off of that as possible. Looks like my opponent decided, hey, let's rebuke that sentry. That's fine. That's okay. I'm not worried about that. I've got another one in the deck. But yeah, now I'm looking at what do I want to do, and I think that whenever you play this deck, you always have to be thinking about Milva and how you're going to use her. So I couldn't, because he was at 5, I couldn't making a bomb him the first round. I couldn't use my leader ability because he wasn't a 4 and just take him out. But now I have him set up as a 1. So now anytime I pull Milva out, I can just take him out with Milva and get her back in the deck. Of course, my opponent plays a Hamadryad. I decide, hey, this is great for me because you played them in the front row. That means that Madoc can just take out your stuff. And I like this bomb on Hamadryad too, because that means that next round I could take them out with leader, but I don't even really need to. If I don't want to, because now they have Veil. Now you can't give them any more vitality. So that's another cool use of Dimeridium Bomb. And so right there, instead of boosting the Hamadryad again or something like that, he actually boosts the Seer, which is really interesting. And Seers can be really devastating in this Symbiosis deck because they have so many Dryad's Caresses, and it's such a strong card. If they have a Dryad on the board when you Dryad's Caress, it's pretty devastating because then you can get 6 damage or 6 immediately, 6 points immediately, 6 points in vitality over time, and purify 2 cards. Like for example, could purify the Veil off of the Hamadryad and give her 3 vitality, get that engine working again. So I need to do something, and I can either answer the Hamadryad or the Seer. I don't have great options for the Seer. Again, that 5 is a little awkward. If it was 4, that'd be a lot better. So that vitality they gave it really did make it a little bit harder for me. But I decided, hey, you can't use Dryad's Caress to unlock that Hamadryad and give it vitality if I use a leader on it. And I was wondering what to do at the end there. I don't think it mattered too much, but just decided to get the Witcher out, get an engine out, start generating some value that way. And I already had Madoc out, so it's less likely that I'll pull a Witcher, although you can strategically work with that. And of course he answers it again with a Force Protector, which actually sets up a beautiful Red Haze to take out that Seer before it gets any bigger, or before they can do anything really big with it. See, that on the Seer would have been really great. But right here I'm looking at, hey, I'm up, and you're already a card down, so I for sure have card advantage. Because you're going to have to play another one. So, and I'm also going to pull out another card. I'm kind of hoping it doesn't really matter what it is, to be honest, because I either have an Abandoned Girl, a Dryad, or an Elf, and all of them are 4. So I know that I have 18 points, and so they can't just give me nothing. They're going to have to give me a nature card or something that plays for a few points plus a leader charge. And that's what they do, is they give me a nature card and a leader charge. I don't have, the Dryad's Caresses aren't as valuable against this deck, this iteration of it at least, but just because I don't have a whole lot of, it could purify making the bomb bleed if that's what happens, but I don't have any locks or anything like that, so they may not have to worry about that. Want to mulligan that Bountiful Harvest. I think they're going to bleed me, and I also want to think about, well, I want to make sure I actually can win this if they try to bleed me. If you have too much control and you don't have any points, and it was just my movement engines and my Royal Decree, that could have been bad. I look at this, and the Whisper's really cool here. I don't want to take out with making a bomb, because then that would bring my Milva out, and then if they pass, I don't get my Milva in round 3. I could play something that a 4 that's more than that and stay ahead of the round, but then they can play another nature card and get another double bluff on a Whisperer. If they have a Tempering, for example, that's a 9-point play, and now I start to have trouble. I actually really love Whisper as a card, and since I have some specials in my hand, and I really like specials, I can go ahead and just steal that with my muzzle. You might be thinking, and that's another cool interaction with that muzzle, is that because it's a veil, it keeps going, so it doesn't really get locked. And then also because I used a spell as my special card, it automatically spawns another one. So Whisper is actually a really god tier muzzle target. And of course, here I have a double funnel or sorceress, and I'm just gonna leader charge that because I don't want to have to deal with that, and that's the easiest way for me to do that. Again, making the bomb would bring out Saskia, that would be awkward. And I'm just going to play Matron here, save a lot of my really good cards, and the opponent passes. So I go into round 3 2 cards up because they tried to bleed, but I had answers. Now they did bleed a muzzle out of me and a leader charge, so it's not like it was completely free, but I'll take 2 cards on that any day. Of course, don't want Milva, don't want the Bountiful. We draw the Gourd, and so my bottom of my deck looks nice and pretty because I have the Royal Decree to pull out my Sabertooth and my Simless to pull out my Bountifuls. Only thing that I'm really missing here is the Cat Witcher, which I don't really want to play this round anyway. I would have rather Saskia thinned him out anyway. So yeah, you're gonna want to open up, especially if you are opening round 3, whatever round you're opening, you want to get that Sabertooth out there. That's going to be a high value. And then he does Ethne, and of course, so it's going to get hit once. That's why you do the Sabertooth. That's already decent value. It's a 9 that's already played for its provision cost, but it would also make people row stack. But then, this is why I include Serpent Trap, because you can do a little something like that, and opponent's just going to forfeit here because they don't have Frex in it, they don't have Ethne, they've blown their load. But yeah, that's basically how you play the deck. So yeah, GG.